Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
It's a rainy Friday, damp rainy Friday in the Riv.
I know I went out in that stuff this morning and I was like freezing. I was like, I'm gonna turn the heat on in my car.
Yeah, yeah. It was a little nasty. And I took the dog out this morning. It was a little raw. Not for her. She got a fur coat, but
Oh, Belly went out this morning. In and out. That was it.
yeah, they don't like water much, but they like to get wiped. When they come in, she waits for me to towel her down. So,
Yeah, exactly.
but yeah, so I see the council. Rumsey was drafted something about the homeless. So
Yes.
we get rid of that. It's not criminal though, but it could be criminal if they disobey a police officer. I heard his little interview this morning. But if they disobeyed a police officer, so again, we don't care about the homeless if they're actually Americans. If they're illegals, we'll get them a home. We'll put them in a hotel. We'll feed them. We'll give them health care. But we got homeless people in the city of Fall River, some of whom are homeless because of the economic crunch, and the other ones are homeless because obviously they've got issues. And with all the hundreds of billions of dollars this country gives to other countries and spends on illegals, it is obscene to me that they allow these problems to go unaddressed. And Fall River is only, it's only a small microcosm of the problem, because look what they've done to San Francisco.
Right.
They've got literally thousands of them laying in the streets. Yeah. I mean, it's just crazy. But then again, the Democrats really don't care. I mean, I saw a staggering stat last night. I was watching one of the news outlets that I taped, and they did a poll, and it was really, really scaring and telling. They did a poll, and 52% of the Democrats that were polled didn't care, either would be happy or wouldn't care one way either way. Oh God, I'm going around cutting tires on Ridge Street. Yeah, well, little minds, but 52% of the Democrats didn't care or would be happy if Trump got assassinated.
Isn't that weird? I mean,
no, that's scary. I mean, how hypocritical are they? Worry about, they want to put you in jail if you call them the wrong pronoun, but a political opponent, it's okay. This has now become, the Democratic Party has now become the party of the third world countries, because this is what they do in third world countries. They throw their opponents in jail or kill them.
Yeah, well, the thing is that when this all started way back when, it was political prosecutions. Okay, all the court cases and everything was political prosecutions. And then there was an assassination attempt. And I said they'll do anything to keep this man out of the race. They were afraid of him. They still are. They're afraid of him. And now there's a second attempt, or alleged attempt. And the guy comes in from Hawaii. I mean, was he hired? Was he paid? Was his tickets paid for? I mean, I want to know. This is getting to be ridiculous. We have the conspiracies about JFK being killed by the CIA or the NIA or whatever it may be. But are we going to have those same types of conspiracy theories on Donald Trump? I don't know. It's getting weird.
You are going to have the theory, because we're left to think about it ourselves, because the government won't do their job. That you're talking about, this guy Ruth. He flew to Ukraine. He flew to all over the world, and he's got $68 in his bank account. So it's a couple of $1,000 for a ticket to Ukraine. He was living, he was going all over the world. No, they don't want him in. They don't want him alive. That's the problem. I believe that you said CIA, and you may call me a conspiracy theorist, but a guy like that, and I was watching some background information on him yesterday that showed that he has been, he's had over 100 arrests and all kinds of issues, but he gets all kinds of press. How does some bozo that's living in a house with a horse in the living room now? They said he had a house in the living room, sold his house in North Carolina for $175,000, but this house was decrepit, $68 in the bank account. How does he get news articles and virtually every charge leveled against him was dropped?
Right. I mean, it's just weird.
And so you're not going to tell me that somebody isn't behind him. Possibly. Did you ever see that movie? I can't think of the name of it, but it was based on a true story. It was about the guy who became one of the biggest illegal arms dealers in the world. And at the end of the movie, he finally got busted, and he got taken in by the feds, and they had him in a cell. And that's the way the movie. Nicolas Cage was starring it. Somebody can help me and look up the movie. I don't know. I don't think it was. I forgot the name of the movie, but Warlords or something like that. Yeah, you're right. But he was sitting in his cubicle being grilled by this guy, and he looked at him and he said, we're going to throw you in jail forever. You sell arms to all these countries and blah, 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 blah. And he looked at the guy and said, I'm not worried. He said, in a few minutes, somebody's going to come down the hall, knock on the door, call you outside, and they're going to let me go. And the guy laughed at him. And then a couple of minutes later, there was a knock on the door. Guy got called out of the room. And he got released. It was true, based on a true story. And then at the end, they talked about how many, the greatest illicit arms dealer in the world is the United States. And they did it through people like him. They sold arms to countries that we weren't supposed to be friendly to promote revolutions and things like that. And it was all CIA stuff. They talk about Kennedy. They talk about this guy. Nothing makes sense with this guy. He's got no money. But he traveled all over the world. Right. He was in Time magazine. They actually said he was the citizen of the year one time in some town he was living in, and a police department gave him a commendation for saving some woman or something from being attacked. And this guy's got all kinds of media coverage, and he's a nobody. He's got no money, but he travels all over the world. And now he comes back here, gets a gun, no serial number, driving a car with stolen plates, attempts to assassinate the president, just like the first assassin. We still don't know nothing about that guy. They burnt his body. They cremated the other guy before nobody could do a real autopsy. And we still know nothing about him either. But they're not stonewalling. The FBI, not stonewalling this stuff. The CIA, the two people who tried to kill Trump, we don't know a damn thing about. The first guy, they just whisked him away and cremated him. We still don't know details about any of these people, and that was over 2 months ago, the first assassination. But I mean, this is crazy. I mean, this country it's getting like, they talk about Russia, they talk about Putin giving people poisons. Well, no, we just get people to shoot our enemies. 52% of the Democrats, these people are nuts. It's okay to kill your political enemy, but if you did that to a Democrat, you'd be in trouble. But political enemies, this is people think politicians won't stoop to this. They say politics is warfare without bloodshed, but that's not true. Remember, Kennedy had a lot of political enemies too. He was a Democrat, not today's Democrat. He was an old school Democrat. But there were a lot of people that still really believe that this was a CIA plot. And when did Kennedy get shot? 64, right?
Yep.
64 he got shot. And so it's a long time since 1964. They never released any of the records. All kinds of questions. There's been 2 or 3 movies made about it. This is the Democratic playbook. Cover everything up. Lack of transparency. That's why our mayor's a Democrat. They cover up everything. Nobody knows what's going on. We don't know.
Actually, Kennedy was shot in 1963, November 22nd, 1963.
Oh, 63? That was 64.
A month and a half away from 64.
All right. I knew it was close to 64. Yeah. I thought it was, for some reason, 64, 63. Yeah. Was it November? That's what it was.
November.
Yeah. I know it was in November, but yeah, I got the year. But yeah, and like I said, to this day, nothing made sense of that one either.
Right.
But they made sure they killed them. They made sure they sent somebody in to shoot them. And like I said, none of this stuff makes sense. The grassy knoll, the shot angle, everything else. But this is what. It's scary in this country because they will stoop at nothing for power. If people don't think we had a shadow government running this country, all you got to do is, how did we manage to have 3.5 years of a Biden presidency when he doesn't know what day it is half the time?
Exactly.
I mean, now he's still supposed to be the president.
Right.
Has anybody seen him do anything since they took the nomination away? Fundamentally,
neither one of them have done anything.
No.
In 3.5 years, nobody's done anything except spend money.
Yeah. Well, they did drop the interest rate, which is only going to make it worse.
The thing is, the dropping of the interest rate, that was political. I'm sorry. I know Trump appointed the chair of the Fed, okay? But that was a political move. And he's not going to tell me it wasn't a political move. Okay, because now all of a sudden they'll start saying, well, we're dropping the interest rate because we're doing so good with the budget. We're doing so good with the economy. We're doing so good with the employment. We're not. The inflation rate may be going down, but on the items that we need, like food,
it's not.
It's not. Now, all of a sudden, you notice all of a sudden it's an election season, and what went down? What's going down regularly below $3 a gallon? Gas.
Yeah, because we're using the oil reserve.
They're not telling you that. They're not telling you that.
They're using our oil reserve.
That's right.
To dump prices. But listen, I saw something this morning from an economist. He said, look, that's not going to make any difference. It's already been factored in. But like you said, it's a political move. But how clueless are they? They all have amnesia. Yeah, you're right. It's Obama's and with Kamala will be his 4th. That's it.
Exactly.
But they were talking about it this morning. Economist said, listen, he said, the reality is it really hasn't affected the average person. He said that little dip in that is going to help Wall Street and the rich people. He said, but the average people are not going to pay much less for their food. The housing market's fallen through the floor. Nobody can buy it because and that little tiny bit of interest rate is going to mean virtually nothing on a mortgage payment. And he said, none of this stuff is going to do any, but then the Democrats love to spin. It's like Kamala. She's almost like that movie, Benjamin Button, the guy who was born old and went in reverse.
Yep.
Well, she's like Benjamin Button. She was just born when she got the nomination. Everybody's forgotten her abysmal record as an attorney general, her abysmal record as a vice president, And it's like they were never in office. It's like it's Trump's fault. All the inflation, everything's Trump's. Well, you've been in office for 3.5 years, but they tell you. And actually, the Fed rate, I actually saw a post on X to show you how delusionary the narrative these people are trying to push. Somebody said, you see, interest rates are down, gas is down, inflation's down. Joe Biden and Kamala Harris did a great job. No, they didn't. They're the ones who created the inflation, the high gas prices, and everything else. And it's still not down, because what they don't tell you is the inflation still isn't down to where it was when Trump took office. And secondly, the interest rate still is not keeping, the people aren't keeping up with anything. They've lost more in their ability of their wages to buy products. It's not helping, even where the inflation rate is now. They've crippled this economy. And, they pretend like none of this is real. This is what you get when you get these idiots with no stats. That's the difference. Last year we had these people that like to just make up shit, but you don't see any proof. Like when we say TIFs are no good, it's not us. We had Columbia University, and I forgot the other major university.
I think it was Purdue.
Purdue, it might have been Purdue, but I know Columbia was.
I know Columbia was one of them, yes.
Yeah, and they did an exhaustive study over decades. They did an exhaustive study. That was a very, very long study with all kinds of numbers and how it adversely affects poorer communities in general, and most communities in general. But when we said that, it wasn't our opinion. It was, we have facts. But see, they want to be able to, and then, Nelson Corlin debate. But, you don't debate people with no facts, because you can't win, because they don't care about facts. It's like Kamala. She had a debate. She won a debate, but she never said anything about what she was going to do on any of the major issues that the people think about. Economy, border, crime, nothing. She's still on, I was born in middle class. I was born a middle class child. And I guess her last one was the children of the community, the community's children. I love when she repeats those things with the word salad. But this is the thing. It's not a debate. You see, when you actually have a real debate, because you can tell these people have never seen a real debate. Watch William F. Buckley. Go on YouTube and watch some debates with William F. Buckley and stuff like that. Or even if you watch a college debate, and they have debating teams, you have a subject and you have a pro and a con. And the team that has the pro has to defend that position with facts. You just can't make up shit. That doesn't fly. They'll throw you off the debate stage. But political debates are like city council meetings. They have Cushing's rules of order, which allows them to violate basically all the rules of order. It's not like Roberts or Atwood's. This is politics. And you can't have a debate unless it's based on facts. And political debates, the last thing they ever do is deal with facts. The only time they will deal with facts is if you give a wrong fact, then they'll fact check you. And if it's your favorite's opponent and he's from a different party, you'll fact check him and you won't fact check. Listen, political debates are not really debates. They're theater.
Not like they used to be.
It's theater. Yeah. Well, you had Nixon and Kennedy. That was a debate.
That's right. That's right.
But Nixon won. Do you know Nixon won that debate on everybody that listened to it on a radio? And he lost dramatically to everybody that watched it on television.
Right.
Even though technically, if you listen to that debate, Nixon won the debate.
Yeah.
But Kennedy was a young, handsome war hero, and PT 109 and Camelot with and Nixon looked he was sweating. He looked like he had 5 o'clock shadow, and he didn't look good. I don't know whether he was sick or not, but he didn't look well. And it was like having Prince Charming debating, the Beast from Beauty and the Beast.
I was just going to say the same thing.
And again, people don't judge it on what the content of what is said. And that's the problem. In a real debate, you have people who are basically the judges of that debate, and they judge the stuff on facts. If you get into a debate in a college debate team, they made a movie about that thing too, about debating. And it's when you do it with politics, it's like everything else in politics. It's 85% BS. And it's not what we're used to seeing. In the old days,
theater. It's all theater.
It is theater. In the old days, Lincoln, Douglas, Abraham Lincoln, Frederick Douglass, Kennedy, Nixon actually had fairly good debates in the old days, but those days are long past. Now that the mainstream media is no longer neutral, that they've sold out, all bets are off. I mean, you can't, what was that? It said, you can't handle the truth. And that's the problem. That's the problem. It's all bull. Of course it isn't. It was never going to benefit the people. Yeah. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed as a union guy that the Teamsters didn't have the courage to endorse Trump. Their membership basically by 60% endorsed Trump. So when you go to a union meeting and you stand up and you say, basically, who are we going to endorse? Majority rules. And even if you're dealing with it from a perspective of like a bylaw change or something like that, where you need 2/3, he fundamentally got 2/3 of the vote.
Right. Exactly.
When 2/3 of your membership say they want this guy, you should have enough. It doesn't say much for the Teamsters. Jimmy Hoffa must be rolling around in his grave, wherever that is. We still haven't found him yet, but Hoffa must be
in the stadium in New Jersey.
Yeah, in one of the dumps. But, he must be spinning in his grave, because that was a real coward's way out for the union. You basically, more 60%, 2/3 of your union wants this guy. You got to endorse him. And you should endorse him. But, well, I guess it's a de facto endorsement by not, for the first time in 30 some years, them not endorsing a Democrat. But CJ, you and I both know that endorsements no longer, in the old days,
don't mean anything.
Unions endorsements don't really, maybe the teachers unions are like that, but I'll tell you.
Yeah, but the teachers unions are only for local. And what we're finding out about like teachers unions, the majority of the teachers unions do not represent the people in their community. They barely represent their membership. And we're seeing that right now with the FREA in the city of Fall River. Okay? There's no love loss between either side. No love loss at all. Well, the South End should be upset about the potential expansion. It hasn't been approved yet, but I shouldn't say that. They sent it to the planning board, which means in essence, they said, yes, we want it. Now that it's in the planning board's hands, you know that they're just going to rubber stamp it because that's what Paul wants. Okay? And that's going to create the HDIP zone, which means it's going to be more TIFs, which means it's going to be more $77,000 properties for multi-million-dollar expansions, just like we've seen over and over again. Like, we're going to call that the Kathy Ann Viveris syndrome. The CAV syndrome, because that's what it is. That's what it is. It's the CAV syndrome.
Listen, It just goes to show how badly these people manipulate everything for the favor of their elitist friends and their rich friends. Like you said, the edge dip zone was supposed to be a very narrow corridor here.
Right.
And now it's wherever his people want to build. Exactly. Now they're going to expand over into the south end. We'll make the south end. We're going to do everything, and they should justifiably be upset.
And I said to the city council, I said, look, why don't you just make the entire city an HDIP zone? Make the entire city, because that's what you're doing. You're doing it in bits and pieces. So you might as well just make the entire city in the HDIP zone, and everybody will be happy.
Yeah, with the people we got leading this city, it's already a dipshit zone.
Exactly.
So, but I mean, yeah, it's nuts because these things were, and that's the great thing about politicians. They can make anything good bad. Yep. Every idea they ever get through is based on an idea that it's going to help the people in some way, and it always ends up helping only their rich friends.
That's right. That's right.
No matter what the program is, HDIP programs are going to help, and this program's going to help, and they end up manipulating it in favor of their rich friends and the people who they sold that bill of goods to. It's like now, our buddy Jakey was on, I heard it on the radio this morning, quickly. He was on saying about how he's going to go after the PBMs, prescription benefit managers, because they're gouging. So that's the new Democratic deflection. All this stuff is caused by big businesses who they support gouging. Yeah, that's right. And without him, it'll probably be 40%. You're right, Steve. But he was talking about going after the PBMs and limiting them, and they make so much. And he talked about CVS Caremark. Well, PBMs do have a lot of power. They do influence the pharmaceutical market. But I'm going to be calling his office at some point to tell him that that's only the tip of the iceberg. I said, Fall River's got a PBM. I just went to a meeting yesterday. We got back over $3 million from them for the negotiations they had on the pharmaceuticals. So that would cost Fall River $3 million out of their healthcare issue. Are the prices of pharmaceuticals too high? Yes, absolutely. You can buy American drugs anywhere in the world cheaper than you can buy them in America. That's why we saved nearly $80 million by buying our drugs, a lot of our drugs that were non-generic from Canada. Yeah, well, he doesn't care about him either because he's Paulie's pal. But what he should be going after, because he said CVS Caremark. Well, CVS Caremark also owns Aetna and a lot of Medicare programs. And right now, we're looking at a tremendous increase in the cost of the Medicare premium for the retirees in this city, some of whom just can't afford it. You should be going after that. It's the changes that they made in Washington, the Medicare now is inflating it. And what they did was the Medicare program shifted the cost to the consumer. And now all these Medicare programs are going to go up. The cost of your Medicare program is going to go up.
I have proof.
That's right. Proof. And I know you know that better than anybody else, CJ.
I have proof. And I'm already getting it. I'm already getting the information from all the plan providers. Like the
Humana, I think, went up 33%.
Well, let me tell you something. Hurry up. Summary of important costs for 2025. Monthly plan premium. This is for the AARP United Health Plan Drug Care Program. 2024 program cost is $34.50. The 2025 cost, $69.50. They doubled it. They doubled it.
Yeah.
And they raised the deductible to $590, except for insulin and vaccines. Drug tier 1 was $2. It's still going to be $2. Drug tier 2 is $8. It's going to remain $8. And it went from 15% of the total cost of the drug in drug tier 3 to 60% of the total cost. And you still will only pay $35 for a month's supply of covered insulin products. But this is the first one I got. Annual notice of coverage change. The first one I got.
You're going to get it all over. And, this is.
And I'll be getting a whole bunch of them.
They get one little aspect of it. He doesn't realize we've got 245 people in Fall River who are retired. And when you get older, you can't work overtime. You can't be a Walmart greeter. These people in there, well into their 80s and 90s, that are living on less than $12,000, their pensions less than $12,000 or less. And I got 285 whose pensions less than $18,000 a year. A $20 or $30 increase in the cost of their plan is catastrophic to these people.
Exactly.
We're spending $1 billion on illegals in this state. I will be calling Auchincloss, and I'll be calling our great state delegation that spent $1 billion in Massachusetts on illegals and say, how are you going to help these people who work 30 and 40 years for the city of Fall River and then made the fatal mistake of living a long life? They're being penalized. They can't get more than $360 a year for a COLA, and you're going to raise their premium $360 a year or close to it. Now, you add that to the 23% more they're going to pay for water, the higher tax rates they're going to pay, and inflation, paying 20% more for groceries, paying more for gas. Even though it's gone down, it hasn't gone down to where it was. And as soon as the election's over, it's going to go right back up if Trump doesn't get in. So the whole thing is just a fiasco. These people, they love to rattle their saber. That's their deflection. Jakey's up there saying, I'm going after these gouges. That's the Democrats. It wasn't caused by us spending trillions of dollars. On the last show, I think we said it was what, $2 million a minute? We're paying just to pay the interest on our national debt.
Just in interest.
Just in interest. It's you idiots that caused the problem. You idiots, you Democratic idiots that are running this government right now, you did it. Yeah, well, they're going to try to lie their way through, and they're going to try to look for more money. Listen, they're going to look, Nelson, you know it's, and I know that was a rhetorical question because you know the answer to that. We all do. They're going to be looking for more taxes, more fees. They already jacked up your water rate. Like I said, they said 23%, 24%. Mine went up 28%. I guess they added the 5% for next year already because mine went up 28%. And this is only the beginning. And there's going to be talk about the purple bags. And there's going to be talk about the fees. And there's going to be talk about, 2.5 overrides. If we don't do this, the city's going to crumble. Well, the city's already crumbled. People can't afford anything anyway. So you know something? Take out the chainsaw. Get the receiver in here. Declare receivership. This guy is like a spending machine. He's a spending machine. And never stops. And all they care about is their developer friends. And he said it. He stopped saying it now because we used to call him out early in his first term when he always used to talk about his banker friends and his lawyer friends and his rich friends and everybody, all the elitists. That's all they care about. Like now, the homeless in Fall River, pass an ordinance, get rid of them. I mean, where are they going to go? I don't know. I mean, to me, they have no empathy at all for these people. This, they got illegals up in a motel up there at the airport, but they won't put homeless people up there. These people all have issues, and it's happening all over the country. It's to a lesser degree in Fall River proportionately, but the same problem is happening all over the country.
I don't think it's a lesser degree in Fall River. I think it's just that I think it's a hidden problem in Fall River. I think that there's more than we see or more than we talk about. Because I'm going to tell you now, I see it all the time. We see it every day when you drive down Plymouth Avenue and you see people begging on the streets, when you see them sitting there underneath the overpass and falling asleep because it's dry, it's warmer under there, whatever the case may be. We see them everywhere. So illegal camping ordinances aren't going to cut it for me. Okay? It's not going to cut it for me. Okay? And don't say to me that it's only criminal if they don't listen to the officer and they don't leave when they're told to get out. Okay? That's a line of bull that is being spread. And I don't know what happened at that ordinance committee meeting yesterday where all of a sudden everything after the homeless issue was tabled. They talked about the homelessness. They passed the handicap parking things, and the contract for the VSO and the contract for the elections commissioner were tabled, which I don't mind the election commissioner being tabled. But I think the contract for the VSO should have been discussed. It should have been discussed because I think our veterans need more than they're getting out of Fall River.
Yeah, and you're right, but CJ, remember, you're a knight of you're in the Knights of Columbus. You're in some organizations that worry about the people. And look, I'm saying it's to a lesser degree. I mean, numerically, but proportionately, the homeless crowd, the homeless amount of people in Fall River proportionally are probably the same as they are in San Francisco, because San Francisco is an extremely large city. There are thousands of them, but San Francisco is also a heck of a lot bigger than Fall River. I don't know what the population is now. I don't even know if they have any idea what the population is now. But it is what it is. But these people, yeah. Yeah. Well, they need the money. They need the money. They're going to be, like I said, all these ordinances that, like Nelson mentioned, what are they going to do? I'll tell you what they're going to do. They're going to find every single way they can rape the average taxpayer. But remember, Paul did not stop private pickup of trash that was against the ordinance, in spite of the fact that the city council sent them
numerous.
That's right, that he was doing it. And when he took over, there was about, 75 or 80. When he finally cut it out, there was 360 something. So while he was in office, they went up 500%, 400% in picking up private trash, and we were paying for that stuff. And I don't care if they say, oh, it doesn't cost that much more. Well, why are you making such a big deal out of it then? Why'd you stop it? The whole thing is these people are full of crap. They don't care about you. They're going to take the people who can afford it the least, they're going to take the most money from. They're going to take your money any way they can. They'll be out there. You'll have a guy out there with a ruler measuring your grass. That'll be the next one. Oh, we got an ordinance. If your grass gets too high, we can fine you. Oh, if you put out your barrels before 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you're going to get fined. Oh, I'm back. I don't know what happened here. Upgrade to what?
Exactly. Market rate housing, of course.
Upgrade. Well, look, the Herald News is like it's like Radio Pravda, and they're a propaganda organization. Upgrade. Well, somebody, Nelson, do me a favor. Call the Herald News. Tell them that the average median income Fall River is still $30,000 when the state average is over 60. How are you going to upgrade? People can't even afford the $5 Happy Meal deal or whatever the hell it is now in this city. And they're going to take more of their money. Oh,
and
yeah,
it's
you can
$6
upgrade.
if you get a burger. $5 for a chicken sandwich, $6 for a burger.
Yeah.
It's $1 more for beef.
Look at these people. They just write this stuff for political, for political traction. That's all they do. People know that. It's like they talk about this election. Kamala can say anything she wants, but when you go to the store and when you're going to look at how much you're paying, you know what's going on. Yeah, the Washington Post. They may even be worse, Steve. I'm sorry, Steve, but it may be worse than the Washington. I mean, once in a while, the Washington Post actually gets a line or two that's pretty accurate. But I haven't seen anything from the sterile news in years that's even close to being on the mark. Everything's a propaganda piece. And
if they like you, they promote you. If they don't like you, they tear you down.
They're going to upgrade to a different overpass, CJ.
What?
They're going to upgrade to a different overpass.
That's right. They're gonna move from the railroad track to the underpass. They'll be all set. So
it's nuts. I mean,
it is.
These people, and these people have gone before the council now and everything else. They have no empathy. I mean, we have people who are actually working and stuff like that, and they're just getting beaten down. Oh, no, they don't care about it. Remember, CJ was right the last show. Remember when CJ pointed out, and you know that better than anybody because you guys, you've been involved in this for a very long time. Remember, go jump on a house, shut up, go away. You live in public housing, go jump in a river. But the reality is that these morons, they know the difference, but they pretend they don't know the difference between public housing, workforce housing, affordable housing. They're all different. They all have different criteria. Yeah, that made you. I don't know if he goes on his morning walks anymore because I don't think he's living much in his Fall River house. He's living in his other chateau somewhere because my spies say they virtually never see any movement in that Bobby townhouse that he's supposed to live in.
Right.
Because I used to see Paul and what the hell's his name? Mark Costa. They used to walk up Ellsbury Street every single morning, and I would drive by them going back home from walking my dog up at BCC in the morning. I used to see Mark Costa and Paul walking on Ellsbury Street every single day. And I haven't seen him on Ellsbury Street I haven't seen him walking at all. I guess he's too busy counting his money. Maybe he burns enough calories counting all the money he's making now. But
there you go.
This is, it's a joke. They don't know what affordable housing is. It's a sad commentary. The best thing you can draw for that is when a town like Somerset, whose per capita income and average income is double that of Fall Rivers almost, and only has 18,000 people, built a 68-unit affordable housing complex thing, and now they're building another 34, 35 units. So, yeah. Yeah, well, yeah. I don't know. Well, 247. It might be 2047.
Ah,
See, that's a
telling you.
good one. I'm telling you. No, you're right. It is to get rid of it. And look, they're blatant about it, Nelson. They said it. He basically said it. We got to get rid of those people in a Flint.
He did say that.
We just got to get rid of them. They're riffraff.
Right.
We want to replace them. We're not building housing for them. We're building housing intentionally that they can't afford. This is the irony of that article. They don't know what, that article flies in the face of the reality that they have already admitted to. Paul has never made any bones about it. He doesn't like affordable housing. And he keeps saying, well, we've already done our share. No, you haven't. Public housing is not affordable housing, you bonehead.
Well, Linda's got the same misconception, because at the ordinance committee meeting, she turned around and said, we already do enough in affordable housing. No, we do enough in public housing. We don't have enough affordable housing.
Yeah.
And those numbers that were requirements set forth in legislation many years ago are different today. We have a totally different economic climate. And we have a totally different community.
Yeah.
And we have an increased number of homelessness. All market rate housing is going to do, and I mark my words, all market rate housing is going to do for Fall River is increase the number of homelessness.
But you know what the irony is, CJ, about that comment by Linda? She knows better.
That's right.
That's why she should not be reelected, because she knows she's lying.
Right.
We've done enough. That's their talking point. Well, let me explain something to the people who weren't around, because we were. The reason we've done more than our fair share in public housing is because a former mayor's brother was in charge of the housing authority.
I remember that.
And when he became the head of the housing authority, they gave him a contract that said he would get a bonus and a salary predicated on a number of people that were in public housing. And Fall River had ads to come to public housing in Fall River all over New England.
And New York and New Jersey.
And New York. Yeah, that's right. They are not in New England, too. Yeah, you could drive up the Connecticut Turnpike and see, come to Fall River for public housing. They were busing them in from Pennsylvania. You know that.
Yes, I do.
They were bringing them in because your son-in-law was bringing them furniture with them.
That's
so
right.
I know that. But listen, these people are so full of shit, it's incredible. And they got political amnesia. The reason that we even did anything about public housing was to make his brother rich.
That's it.
A former mayor's brother rich. It's always about the money. On our first show, what did we say, CJ?
Follow the money.
Exactly. They never do anything for the regular people. They only pretend that they care. And this guy doesn't even pretend. He's already said, you live in public housing, you don't own a house, shut up. You can't talk about houses, buying houses and housing. You don't own a house. You can't. You have no right to talk about it. And then when he talked about the Flint, he said, we got to get rid of those people, basically, the riffraff. And when Linda says that, that's what pisses me off about her, because, she talks out of both sides of her mouth and a few other orifices. So, and she knows better. She's insulting the people's intelligence, and I'm going to remind everybody that she knows this because she was around during that administration, and she knew the head of the housing authority very well. And she knows that's why we have an inordinate amount of public housing. It was to make another political tick rich, not because to help the people.
Well, it was just like Paul saying that he wasn't talking to developers about the old Watuppa Heights property. Okay? He's not talking to developers about it. Okay, for 1 second, I'll believe him. Okay, the second's over. that is prime property. You know that. The agreement was 150 units would be replaced there. Why is the city going to court? And Paul Nelson, I can't make any comments. That matters in litigation. Why is the city going to court to throw that away? Why is the city going to court to throw that away? Why did Linda slip at a meeting and say the DeVault school's already promised? The DeVault school's already promised. He doesn't even own the DeVault school yet. And he's promising it to a developer. This is the way it works. Ken Fiola says jump. He says how high, and he does it. Ken Viola is talking to the developers. He's saying, look, you'll get the property cheap. We will get you a TIF for 25 or 30% for 10 years. We'll get you an HDIP. We'll get you a historic tax credit. And for all of that, I'll charge you $50,000 and maybe 10% of what you save. I don't know. I don't know what his fee is.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you one thing. This is the most corrupt administration I have ever seen. If the feds ever dove into this one, half as much as they dove into Jazel, he'd be doing double the term Jazel got.
Oh, I know.
Jazel didn't really. But the problem with this administration is they're harming the people of Fall River with what they're doing. Jazel didn't harm the people of Fall River. Jazel was stealing money. He was like the reverse Robin Hood.
That's right.
He stole from the rich and gave it to himself.
That's it.
Instead of stealing from the rich and giving it to the poor like Robin Hood. But he was like an inverted Robin Hood. But he wasn't taking money out of the city. He was helping people in the city. The city was running pretty well, and nobody can. Even Sean Kadim admitted that the city was running much better with Jazel as he was a much better mayor. He was more people oriented, and I'll tell you what. He was engaged about the people. I remember we had some medical issues with some people. You know, we had a person that had a major medical issue, and Blue Cross. We were having problems with Blue Cross because they wouldn't let her go out of the state and to go to a specialist somewhere. She had a very, very serious condition. But Jazel came to a whole bunch of meetings, sat in the meetings, and discussed them with us. With Kathy Ann and Jazel in the room, we were trying to resolve that issue. We unfortunately didn't resolve the issue. We had to appeal it, and eventually that individual finally did get the medical help that she needed, but she suffered in the long run. But he was engaged in that stuff. We can't even find out anything that goes on in Fall River now. I'll tell you what, you get more information living in North Korea than you get from these people. Everything is behind, the wall of the behind the Iron Curtain. You gotta do a comedy show. I'm telling you.
Yeah, really. I'll buy tickets.
I'm telling you, I'll buy some tickets. You got to do some stand-up comedy. I love some of that stuff.
No question about it.
That's really good. I tell you, that is funny. If they only knew. But that's the problem. Look, we have transparency in nothing. Everything happens behind the curtain. The only thing that's transparent, which it shouldn't be, is the negotiations on a school site.
That's right.
The only thing is that. But the school department is just it's an universe. I had a discussion yesterday about that with them, and said, what are you doing? Why haven't you filed an unfair labor practice? Well, I said, you realize it's an unfair, you can't bargain at public. Well, we want our membership engaged. I said, well, your membership isn't supposed to bargain. You get a bargaining committee, and then it's, everybody puts their proposals in. Everybody gets to put in proposals. Then you go and you bargain, and then you come back with the package that you can't impede negotiations by having 900 teachers involved in the negotiations with you, because you can't even get agreement within your own bargaining unit.
That's right.
When you bargain
That's
that way. But it's
That's
like,
right.
hey, that's the way they want. Well, they could sue us too because we're both doing it. Well, two wrongs don't make a right.
Exactly.
I disagree with it, and I said, well, that's not the way to do it. But again, like I said, the school department's a different world. I mean, they have their own laws and everything else, and they have to deal with the school committee. But everything else in the school department is behind that iron curtain. Whatever happened to the head of security when he was on a paid leave for a year? What happened with Malone? We still don't know. Now we got the Kennedy assassination, the 2 assassination attempts on Trump. And now we've got all these other things under the Coogan administration that Fall Riverites will never get the real story on.
That's true. That's true. Well, I want to thank you all for watching. Boy, we went almost a full hour today.
Yeah, we had some fun today.
Yeah. I want to thank you all for watching. Run through the raindrops, and remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. We'll see you on Monday. Have a great weekend.